Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to see you all again on this channel. And I have wrote this in my book as well, that people used to ask me that choose one thing that you really want to master, because I always had interest in multiple things. I didn't want to miss out on things and I wanted to experiment so much. And then I answered one of my friends saying that I want to master life, and that's what I started teaching. I started life coaching, and it's been such a beautiful journey so far. And today itself I completed 2 sessions with some of my new clients, and listening to their stories, understanding where they want to take themselves in the future and how I would be able to help them is making me feel so satisfied. And there is a lot of unlearning that happens to you as well when you become a life coach. So even me as a person, I am not perfect. Even I have my lessons to learn. So life becomes a laboratory, where your experiment is also becoming the basis of your research. So your own life is a subject of research for you. So I used to say this to my mother in my childhood, that I want to become a scientist, and I didn't know what is it that I am going to research about. And now I know the answer, that it is my life that I am researching about. So let's start with the topic of the video, and that is how to grow using feedback. Now my perspective on feedback was very different before. I used to think of ideal cases and ideal scenarios. I used to think that whenever somebody is giving a feedback, it should be done in a very polite manner. It should be given in person. You should not insult somebody in front of everybody. You should respect the people. Now all this is something that, yes, it should be done, but as understanding human beings, it's not going to be perfect always. People have their own moods, people have their own situations going on. So ideal case scenarios cannot be expected all the time. So the only solution to this is that you take the accountability of your growth and start growing yourself in a way where you are actively seeking feedback. Now the problem with feedback is that our attitude towards feedback is, even mine was, that we don't want to receive feedback, or we are not open to feedback to people. So I have been a person who likes to do her own thing. Now it's that even if somebody is giving me a feedback, my attitude used to be like, do not interfere in what I am doing. And that somewhere has stopped my growth, and I feel like it stops my growth in certain areas. So what do I do about this? I want to have my own creativity in the things that I do. I want to keep growing, and I don't even want to be close to feedback. So the best solution to this is that you become an active seeker of feedback. So what do I mean by becoming an active seeker of feedback? It's not running behind people saying that give me feedback, but there is a concept that I learned from this very special book, and the book's name is What Got You Here Won't Take You There. That means whatever knowledge, whatever philosophies, whatever things have brought you here, this area of success will not take you to the next level. There is a lot of unlearning that has to happen. And in my life, from the time I've become life coach, I feel unlearning is happening in very rapid moments. And I'm going to turn complete 24 years soon, and it almost feels like I am dissolving an identity and taking on a new identity as I am going into my 25th year. And this I'm feeling very consciously. So I want to talk about some lessons that I have learned recently, and I am going to take it forward into my life because I am so glad that I learned these lessons. So the concept that the author introduces, by the way, this is by Marshall Goldsmith. He is one of the best coaches who is out there in the world, and the concept that he sees is observational feedback, or seeing the world anew. Now what Marshall Goldsmith wants to say, that there are 4 types of knowledge that we can have. Okay, there is something that is unknown to us and known to others. That means we do not know certain things, but others know it about us. For example, your family, they're always watching you from your childhood. There might be certain things you don't know about yourself, but your family knows about you. There are certain things that you know and others know. So it's something that is in public domain. So even you know about it and others don't know about it. Something that is private just to us, that you know about it but others don't know anything about it. And there is this area where we have to start working, which is unknowable, unknown to others and unknown to us. Something that keeps coming with time. But the area that we have to work in is the blind spot, which is unknown to us but known to others. There are certain things that we really don't know about ourselves, but people can see us and observe based on our behavior or our interaction with them. Now the thing is that I have been a person for whom my people matter a lot for me, and the people that I'm working with, the people that are in my family, all of them matter to me a lot. But does this come across from my behavior with them that they matter to me? That is a very big question. So your behavior has to match with what is actually happening inside of you. But when there is no coordination between the two, that is the time when your intentions might be really great and you might be a person that loves everybody around them, but you might not come off that way. And this happens in office a lot as well. So here is an example that author gives, that there was this person known as Barry. He used to handle very important accounts. So it is a coaching scenario, so the person's name is changed. So he uses the name Barry, and Barry used to handle some important accounts, due to which he had to be in touch with the CEO now and again. So the CEO would sit with Barry, eat with him, and be with him for a very long period of time. Now this made Barry's colleagues very jealous of Barry. Now Barry was with the CEO due to work. There was no such thing as a personal friendship or some advantages that Barry was getting out of the friendship, but his colleagues started getting jealous of him. Now, how did Barry come to know about this? Is that during the meetings, one of Barry's senior actually started ignoring Barry during the meetings. While he was in the room, he would not look at Barry but look at everybody else. He would, whenever Barry would speak, he would not pay attention, but when everybody else would speak, he would pay attention. Now there are two ways that Barry can handle the situation. That he is doing his work well. Barry is doing his work well. So he could just ignore the scenario, ignore that person, because he's already in good books of the CEO, and continue what was happening. Or what he could do is actually to sort this out. And to sort this out, instead of when some people who have this kind of nature of giving awkward silence or silent treatment, if you go and ask them what happened, they will ask you a question in return, what happened? Okay, so pretending like nothing happened. So how do you handle these kind of situations? So here Barry has to take the observational feedback from the people around him, that people not being happy due to these reasons. And after that, what Barry does is that even though this person was thinking that Barry has now become the enemy, senior was thinking that Barry is in the good books of the CEO, friends with the CEO. So what happens is that Barry does not treat his senior like an enemy. Barry is giving the senior the same respect. In fact, Barry is getting some good projects into the account of the senior, and Barry is doing everything to make that senior feel that they both are not enemies. So through the actions, he has showed that they both are not enemies, and almost around 7-8 months, after which they again became very good friends that they were before. So the senior and Barry started getting along with each other, but after a long period of time. So what do we learn from this story is that these are the kind of situations that we face in reality, not the situations where your senior or somebody will take you aside and then tell you the whole story and all of that. This might not happen, especially in the corporate world where things are so fast paced, right? So you need to build that inner resilience. If Barry was a person with a really low self-esteem, what he would have done is, oh my god, my senior is ignoring me, oh, I don't know, what do I do? Do I change the team? Do I change the project? So all these kind of things. But when you have good leadership skills, you know that you've not done anything wrong. You know that you have a good friendly feeling for the senior. You're not their enemy, so it's your responsibility to make them feel that they are not your enemy. But if this behavior continues for a long period of time, I am of a personal opinion that this shouldn't be tolerated. Things like silent treatment and weird kind of politics, but you should give your best to make people understand through your actions that you are not their enemy. Rest is in the hands of time and in their own choices as well. But doing your best to make them feel that you're not their enemy is completely your responsibility. So now there is this one really wonderful exercise that Marshall Goldsmith gives, which I have personally done, and I got to know so many things about me that I didn't know before. And the exercise is that make a list of casual remarks that people make about you. Now, usually, what we do is that when somebody makes a remark, what we do is we either take it too seriously or we just ignore it, either of the extremes. But why do we need to make these kind of remarks is that from that kind of remark we will understand where we are going wrong. Because every time we cannot wait for that review meeting, feedback meeting, which happens once in 6 months or once in 3 months. We can't wait for those meetings to happen to actually start showing changes, right? We humans are so intelligent, and there is so much that we can figure out from the verbal and non-verbal communication, especially from non-verbal communication, and we get to know so much about the situation. So remarks first, let's consider verbal remarks like what do people say about you, what do people think about you. First I used, there are general advices given that don't bother about people, don't worry about people. But when you are a leader or when you are taking people in a certain direction, people matter to you, and that is why you have to consider that how am I coming off as. This is a very important question for leaders because your influence matters a lot, right? Leadership is about influence, and that is why you need to think about all these topics. So all these kind of things, that when I'm speaking, are people listening to me interestingly, are they leaning forward while I am speaking, or are they sitting with their hands closed, are they raising their eyebrows, is there a sparkle in their eyes when they are listening to me. All these things are feedbacks in a conversation. Okay, so while having a conversation itself, you'll get to know whether you sound as an interesting person, or you sound as a boring person, or you sound as a rude person, or you sound as what, right? So once you've written all of those things, you start reflecting on those points, that how am I coming as of. And when there is no agenda to while observing, you will not observe anything. But when there is an agenda, that once if you're sitting in a meeting or a group discussion, just put people on mute. This is something that's written in the book, and I do it a lot. And I just observe people non-verbal cues. I just see where they're looking at, how they're looking, what is their body language like. When I talk, how many heads turn, and when somebody else is talking, how many heads turn. So I'm not comparing myself to somebody else, but I am just observing their non-verbal cues. And I think this is such a powerful feedback that we receive. And this is more powerful than the feedback that is given in feedback meetings once in a while. If somebody in your family is angry, and only the angry words that come from their mouth becomes a feedback, then that relationship is going to be spoiled for a very long time. So it is on a day-to-day basis, okay? Especially the relationships, the work, the colleagues that you want to stay with a longer period of time, develop this habit of feedback. I had this weird thing that I used to say that don't expect me to read your mind, tell me what is going on, what you want me to do, and I'll do it. And this was a very mechanical way of living. But your relationships thrive when you do something that is unexpected. I mean, the person didn't say it, but you knew it that the person needed it, and you got it from them. So you did something unbelievable, you exceeded their expectations. So when you do certain kind of things, that these kind of things, that is the time when your relationships strengthen. And clear communication is very essential. Even today I say that uh, whatever is in somebody's mind, they can speak freely in front of me, but and they can ask whatever they want to. But I also feel that now it's my time as well to start understanding people from a much deeper perspective. So this was my stubbornness, that I, being a communication trainer, I want people to clearly communicate. But there are so many things that humans might not be able to verbalize, and we have to understand from the non-verbal cues and the way they behave with us. And out of that, so many things come out, and from their actions, I think the best judgments can be done for yourself and for others, that are based on actions and not on words. Words play a very important role, and this is why I want to give a message through this channel, that especially leaders, especially elders who now and again have to deal with a lot of people, that your words are very important, your words matter a lot. You know, I say that okay, you come up with a lot of optimism and positivity, but there are sometimes where critical feedback has to be given, a difficult conversation has to happen. But be very mindful and very respectful while you do it. Even if you have to be rude, you can still be respectful, and you can scold the person and still be respectful. But the language of respect is very important, because the words you use are stored in the subconscious, right? It is stored. Whatever somebody says, there are 100 positive things happening, you say one thing negative, and that is something that the person stores. Okay, that's something that the person registers. That is why we want to give people clear feedbacks and have difficult conversations, but we do not want to disrespect, we do not want to insult. And these are 2-3 things that we should consciously try to avoid, because it's very easy to put down somebody, but it's very difficult to lift somebody up from that state. Because as a life coach, I see this people coming up to me now and again, and it is because of some negative word that was said by them to somebody. So of course it is our responsibility that we don't get triggered, but this is human nature, that even if you say 10 things positive and 1 to 3 negative, it's going to shift the focus to that 1 to 3 things. So the thing is, I feel that here every person should take personal responsibility and be realistic with the expectations, that if this person is saying 8 things good about me, 2 things bad is okay. Okay, so I have just discarded that expectations, that okay, this person, they are my people, so they're going to talk 100 things good about me. That's not the case. In fact, some of the best people in your life are going to give you the harshest feedbacks, because as my mother says, that it's very important to look into the mirror and see what's wrong in order to fix it. And when you see somebody being critical with you, accept their nature as it is, because some of us are born with this very good capacity to look at things very critically and in very much detail. So understand that, keep that person as a mentor in your life, somebody who gives a critical feedback, and we all need that kind of a critique. But you are not going to attach your self-image with it. It is your responsibility that you do not attach your self-image with it. It is not the person's responsibility to choose the best of the words and then present in front of you. It is your responsibility to not take it like a poison, right? It is your responsibility to use it like a fertilizer of your growth, because this is really in our hands, that do you want to use somebody's words like poison to poison yourself and feel bad about it, that this person said this to me and this to me, and victimize yourself, or you want to use that as a fertilizer to grow in your life. And it is very difficult when you have a low self-esteem, or when you have unrealistic expectations. But if you have heard this video so far, become conscious of it, and you will be in a position where you will be asking people for feedback. Gather all your courage and listen as to how are you coming across, because I think this is the number one mistake I made in my teenage, that I knew my intentions were very good, that is why I would just not listen. And now when I understand that however good your intentions might be, you also have to consider as to how you are coming across, because communication, relationship, interpersonal behavior, what you say, more than that, what is important is how you say. And for that, I personally want to build that internal resilience where I could take feedbacks positively. And I am saying this on, I am a promoter of authenticity, and I'm saying this all loudly there, that it is very difficult for me, like even today, to take on a very critical feedback. It is difficult for me. And if it is coming from a person and it is coming softly, it's still fine, from people who are very close to me. But still I have to adjust myself and my mindset into that space where I have to really process it well. But now I understood why does that happen, because these small non-verbal cues is something that I have been might be neglecting from a very long time. So if you have have a daily habit of taking that small verbal cues, then that one big negative feedback won't make a very big difference for you, emotionally and mentally. It would be another key or trigger to grow, right? So I'm very glad that this realization happened to me and I could make this long video. And I've made such a long video after so long, and I hope that you people stay on to this channel to listen to more such videos. And this video is in very much depth. It was not an instant noodle. Of course, my favorite food is biryani, and it takes time and patience to cook biryani, but it's very delicious at the end. And that's how I like to live life, with a lot of patience and with a lot of allowing myself to experience all of that. And for that I need such a big space. I always keep on saying people, I need a lot of space. Why? Because I like to process things at a very deeper level, and there these lessons pop up, and there the nuances of my own behavior or other people's behavior, or in general human beings behavior. This is becoming a very, very interesting journey as I'm moving forward. And I'll keep coming up with more such topics. So subscribe to my channel if you like what you see, and have a great week ahead.